Today's Lightning broadcast on Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers.
Let's take a look at tonight's starting goaltenders delivered by Papa John's Pizza. You see 29 victories for Frederik Andersen. That's second in the league amongst goaltenders. Bishop's 26 is fifth in the league for wins. John Cooper behind the bench for the Lightning, hoping his team will rebound after that tough loss against the Kings last night. And Bruce Boudreau has his team flying. They've had a ton of injuries, and they still keep winning.
Working this game among the officials, it's Rob Martel handling the opening faceoff. Francis Chiron, his partner, Darren Gibbs, Tony Saracoto, the linesman for this one, Tyler Johnson, and his usual line mates, the triplets. Together to start this game for the Lightning with Andre Palat and Nikita Kucherov. Clayton Stoner back with the puck for the Ducks. Around to Andrew Cogliano, who will tip that puck down the ice. Mark Barberio wins the race for it. He's challenged in that corner. And Ryan Kessler digs in for it. Lightning come up with it. Ducks hold it in. Kucherov has it back for Tampa Bay. To Palat. He gets it back from Johnson. Maneuvers into the Anaheim zone. Takes on Stoner, the former Minnesota Wild defenseman. His pass comes out of the zone, and Andre Schuster just joining the play. We'll wait for a further change to be completed at the Tampa Bay bench. Victor Hedman paired with him. Valtteri Filppula comes back to take the pass. Here comes Schuster. Wheels into that zone, joined by Filppula down the off-wing side. Looks to make a play, rifles it behind Hedman. Back toward the Lightning zone, and Schuster gets to it. Watched by Kyle Palmieri, who was a healthy scratch in their last game. That was in Washington, a 3-2 shootout loss to the Capitals. He's back in there and expecting to play with Ryan Getzlaf, who's been out the last couple of games with a lower body injury. Corey Perry, as usual, working with him. And the Ducks go for a change. Here comes Barberio to center. And the red line rifles it in. Eric Brewer, number 2. Former Lightning defenseman traded to the Ducks in late November. Just back from a broken foot. He's paired with Cam Fowler. Devontae Smith-Pelly with a pass out of the zone. Matt Bolesky trying to get to it. And it ends up on Fowler's stick. He'll take on Luke Witkowski. Meets up with Barberio. Lightning got it out to Alex Killorn on a 1-on-2. Brewer there. And Killorn had it worked away. Ricard Raquel plays it back the other way for Bolesky. Anton Strawman works the puck to Alex Killorn. Kind of a slow start here, Chief, in terms of scoring opportunities. We've seen more line changes than anything else.
Yeah, obviously you want to get everybody in the game quickly. I know Anaheim wants to make sure that they don't get caught, making sure they figure that the Lightning would come out real hard in the first period because of the bad first one they had last night against the Kings. They were here watching it.
Stoner, a free agent signing. To bolster that defense, Sammy Vatanen, one of their young hopes back there. He's a big help in the power play. Nate Thompson, number 44. His pass intercepted. Brett Conley starts it in. He's checked there by Tim Jackman. Victor Hedman skating for open ice. Nice move. Took a left turn. Ducks weren't anticipating. Centers. Boyle shoots. He scores! Short of 3 minutes, Frederik Andersen surrenders the game's first goal, and Brian Boyle gets it.
What a tremendous move by Hedman when he walked across the blue line. You'll see it coming here right there. So he thought he was going to backhand it, then just a little dipsy doodle around the forward. That backhand pass from behind the net. We've seen Kucherov make that pass quite often. That's the first time we've seen Hedman do it, and Boyle was right there waiting for it. And he fires it home and picks up his 11th on the year. 2:55 the time of this opening goal.
Hedman and Conley get the assist on that score. Barberio angling it off the stick of Palat. The Lightning trying to go right back to work in the Anaheim zone. Jakob Silfverberg's pass deflects to Ryan Kessler. Of course, Kessler, a big acquisition on entry draft day last summer from Vancouver after 10 years as a Canuck. He wanted out of there and has found quite a home with the Ducks. Pass out for Palat. Here's Kucherov off the stick of Johnson. Cogliano controls it for his defense. Francois Beauchemin moving it to his partner, Hampus Lindholm. And the Ducks are still hemmed in. And Beauchemin had it taken away. Work back through center, Luke Witkowski. The only plus player in the Lightning lineup last night in that loss to the Kings. He was a +1 in playing briefly a career high of 17 minutes plus in that game. Bounced in on Anderson.
Well, he's keeping it simple, and again, we keep talking about that. Every time when you have a young player coming up from the minors, you think you have to do something special. And the simpler you keep it, the better you're playing.
They broken up by Palmieri at the Anaheim line. Hedman fires it back to Ryan Callahan, trying to get in behind Brewer. Down goes Brewer as they got their skates tangled up. Brewer missing 22 games with a broken foot. He's just been back a couple of games since that injury. Filppula looks for room, fires, and it's blocked by Palmieri. He starts it back with Getzlaf and Perry. They've been leading the Ducks since they entered the league soon after being drafted back in 2003. Of course, the core scores on their Stanley Cup team with Teemu Selanne and a few others from 2007. Stoner wrapped up in there by Killorn. Vatanen is checked by Drouin. And Keita Nesterov arrives down the boards. Pinching on the other side at Strawman. Took a hit, but delayed the Ducks trying to get out. In fact, there's a shot by Killorn and a stop by Frederik Andersen. Excellent start. The Lightning feeding off that opening goal, and the puck deflects out of play.
Well, it's time now to take a look at our keys to the game brought by your Southern Ford dealers. That obviously you needed a good start. You wanted to score first, and they've done that. But a big thing in tonight's game, you've got to be strong in the defensive zone. You can't get lazy back there. You've got to make sure that you're very intense and really focused when you're when the puck's in your zone.
Johnson and Kessler on this face-off. On the drop of the puck, it's tapped back to the corner. Lindholm there for it. He'll use the glass to get it out. It ends up out of play. Ducks without a shot here in the first 5 minutes as the Lightning have not let them leave the zone very often.
Every time we've watched this team and when they've had their success, you know, just going back quickly to the St. Louis game Tuesday when they held the Blues to just 2 shots on goals, when they're quick to the puck and really hard on the puck retrieval, they're a very, very hard team to play against. You played a lot of it in your own zone.
Yeah, you hold a team like St. Louis to 2 first-period shots. You score on your first 2 shots in Dallas. Those would be considered good starts. They didn't have it yesterday, though, as the Kings scored 3 in the first and went on to win 4-2 as Witkowski handing that puck to Palat. Worked free. Witkowski will have to come to center for it. He's checked by Silverberg. And still, while prone on the ice, slides it to the corner, hoping that a teammate can get there ahead of the Ducks. A penalty upcoming. And it will go against Anaheim, or let's see, we've got the Ducks controlling the puck. And now Kessler and Barberio are separated. It was a big collision in that corner.
It blew the play down, but I think it's going to be an Anaheim Duck, and it looks like it's going to be Kessler.
Cogliano was checking to see if there was some blood from being cut.
Anaheim penalty number 17, minor penalty for boarding.
And boarding to Kessler.
Here's he takes Barberio in hard, and you know, he didn't really leave his feet, just kind of skated in and took him in the boards. It's 5:36 will be the time, though. And Tampa gets the first power play of the game.
Callahan in on that face-off. Filppula reaches in for it. Throws it to the boards. Brewer gets there, and he'll shovel it out. Toyota power play opportunity for Tampa Bay. They're now at 17.8% on the season with a man advantage. Ducks on the kill, middle of the pack as well, 81.6%. And Filppula checked from behind by Getzlaf, and the crowd thought there should have been a call there.
All you have to do is you push the back of the guy's knee, and that would make him lose his balance real quickly. It's the same as tripping from the front.
Jonathan Drouin gains entry into the zone, had the puck lifted away, and the Ducks clear it out.
This is where they lose so much time. They are so slow in going back and getting set up on the power play. They lose valuable time.
Puck is sent down the ice, and Kucherov getting to that puck. He negated icing on the power play by getting to it as Stroman's pass comes out of the zone. Slow start now for the power play. Johnson starts it in. Here's Palat walking to the middle, fights off a check, and he draws a penalty from behind. He was hooked. And so with 45 seconds remaining on the penalty to Ryan Kesler, the Ducks will get a second minor, much to the dismay of Smith Pelly and Bruce Boudreau.
Anaheim penalty number 12, minor penalty for hooking.
6:51, the time watch right here. See the hand, right there on the hands. Anytime you touch that hand, it doesn't have to be long. It's going to be called, and they've done that on a consistent basis throughout the year.
Well, a huge opportunity for John Cooper's men now with a two-man advantage for 45 seconds. Filppula will lean in on this face-off against former Lightning centerman Nate Thompson. The Lightning get control. Kucherov has it. Even Stamkos. Down to Johnson. Callahan in the slot. Kucherov getting it back in a 5-on-3. Now to Stamkos up top. Firing it back across to Johnson. Around to Filppula. Stamkos with it. Down to 24 seconds on the two-man advantage. Johnson. Kucherov fires. Breaks his stick. And it's cleared out by Lindholm. Kucherov picks up a new stick going by the bench, but the Lightning down to 13 seconds of the 5-on-3. Filppula. Trailed by Getzlaf. He plays in every situation, as Boudreau says. One-timer Stamkos. He breaks his stick, and the shot hit the side of the goal. They're down to a 5-on-4 now, and Kesler leaving the box, and he steals a pass. And his clearing attempt was deflected into the Tampa Bay bench. 1:08 to go on the Smith-Pelly hooking call.
Haven't had a shot on goal yet either in the first part of the one-man advantage, then a two-man advantage. There you see the big of the stick right there. Breaks right where his bottom hand was. And we saw Kucherov do that as well. Right there, you see it go flying away. Ducks aren't the most outstanding penalty-killing team. They are not good on the road. They're 24th. They're under 80%. They have yet to get a shot at the man advantage yet.
Well, they're starting an arduous part of their schedule after being home quite a bit the last several weeks. And kind of punching up their penalty-killing numbers at just under 90% the last 12 games. Lightning gain the zone as Callahan angling it back to Stamkos. Over for Victor Hedman. Silfverberg keeps an eye on him. Fired in front. Callahan stop. Rebound. Another stop by Anderson as Killorn follows up. Great chances there in the blink of an eye. Filppula back to Hedman. 34 in the penalty. Stamkos looks, wrists it, deflected, and Anderson's got it. He was leaning to his right as Killorn and Brewer tangled up.
Boy, he's a big goaltender. He's 6'3", about 236, and he had to use all of that size to get a hold of this. The first time, quick shot in front. There's a redirect. He gets down there, gets over there very, very quickly to stop Killorn on the rebound. There you see the redirect there. You see Anderson getting square. The rebound will come off to his left, and he'll get over really quickly. But that phantom cam is incredible, isn't it? If only the game looked that slow to you when you were a goaltender.
Keep dreaming, Chief. 25 seconds to go on the Anaheim penalty as Stoner clears it out. And it's going to be Nate Thompson, the first one in for it. Kucherov got it away from him. Conley takes it. Out for Johnson. Across for Palat. Stoner back for it. Picked up by Kucherov. Back to Palat. He gets to it. Penalty over. Smith-Pelly returns. And the play forced at the line by Kesler. Here's Smith-Pelly. He's got plenty of speed. Kessler's alone in front. Shoots. Bishop the save. There's the whistle. Ben Bishop had to be alert in his first shot of the game. A breakaway with Kesler busting in. Brian Boyle has given the Lightning a 1-0 lead.
In the Lightning to lead. Let's take a look now at our high-def highlight brought to you by H.H. Gregg. And boy, you get your first shot of the game. It's not a real good one to have as a breakaway, one-on-one, but he tried to go 5-hole. That was Kessler. Ben Bishop, so solid. He was really waiting for him to make the move. He had to make it quickly. The puck was rolling, and he had a back checker coming. Bishop was excellent on that. And it was our high-def highlight brought to you by H.H. Gregg.
Getzlaf wins the faceoff. Beauchemin with a try, and it's fended off by Bishop. Hampus Lindholm down the boards. He's one of their high hopes on defense. Just 21 years of age. 2012 pick, 6th overall. Getzlaf worked away. He gets it back to Beauchemin. The veteran defenseman fires off a stick, and it deflects off the netting out of play. 4 members of that Stanley Cup team from 2007 with the Ducks. He and Ilya Bryzgalov, who's now the backup goaltender, have left and come back. And, of course, you got Getzlaf and Perry. Here's Bryzgalov. Briz, as he's known.
It's interesting, you see Beauchemin. He went to Toronto, and everybody, of course, expected big things from him there, and didn't probably pan out to what Toronto expected, but he comes back to Anaheim, and he's really, really solid, as he was before he left. And I've seen a number of guys like that.
And we got a battle set to get underway here with Witkowski and Maroon right from the drop of the puck. And Witkowski able to reach Maroon with that right hand. Maroon has the reach. 6'3", 230 pounds. Witkowski coming over the top.
Got him on the ear, and now he got stunned him.
Now Maroon coming back with some right hands. And Witkowski recovering, getting that helmet off. Some rights from Maroon, and Witkowski's not done yet.
You can tell, he can handle himself. He doesn't close his eyes. Witkowski, he comes in there and keeps him up and fires away so he can see him, and then you can see that nice little pat on the head. Good fight. These tough guys are amazing to me. That is a very tough way to make a living, but you see not only Witkowski and Patrick Maroon, and they had a good, solid, clean fight. There you see him right there. They talk to one another. Penalties will come at 9:26.
Maroon went off to the Ducks locker room. Maybe an equipment issue there.
Both of them will receive majors for fighting, but
penalty to number 19, Patrick Maroon, and the Tampa Bay penalty to number 53, Luke Witkowski. Each 5 minutes for fighting. The time,
now Luke amassing over 200 minutes in the box for the Syracuse Crunch last year. It's 75 minutes this year at the time of his call-up. Had a pretty good fight in a game against Nashville in the preseason. And one of his appearances with the Lightning got some attention, as well as his solid defensive play. The incidental major penalty, so the team's skating at full strength. 10:22 to go here in this first period. The Lightning leading on the Boyle goal. The shot 6-2 and icing the call against Anaheim. Lightning fans, there's no better time to reserve your 2015-16 season tickets than now. Season ticket members get the best seats, the best discounts, playoff priority, exclusive player access, and more. Join the priority list at TampaBayLightning.com.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. The guys get in a fight, and then one guy pats him on the head saying, "Good fight." I don't think I've seen that before, Rick.
Those are guys who've been in a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they know what their job is. Nate Thompson going against Tyler Johnson on this faceoff. Nate's been sharp in the faceoffs, a little over 50% on the season for the Ducks. And the puck played out. Ahead for Tim Jackman. He fires. Bishop is stopped. Swept away by Kucherov and right on the stick of Palat. There's that telepathy among the 3 of these guys with Johnson, and Palat throws the hit on Beauchemin. Thompson rolls it back to the corner. Johnson after it. Try to fire in front. That was blocked. Perry checked there by Schuster. And the play is halted, and we're going to get a penalty. 9:49 to go, midway through this first period.
Associate coach Rick Bowness, who coordinates the defense. His D-man, Victor Hedman, sets up the first goal. It's 1-0. He was honored yesterday, reaching 2,000 games behind a bench in the NHL. The only man with more in attendance again today. Scotty Bowman, the man with his name on the cup 13 times. Today's great moment in history, saluting Scotty's achievement in 1997 on this day. He became the first coach in league lore to reach 1,000 wins. That victory came in overtime, a thriller for his Red Wings in Pittsburgh. You might remember in 97, the Wings would win the Stanley Cup, the first for Detroit in 42 years. Scotty, a regular visitor, and he's here again today, Rick and Chief.
Well, thanks very much. He's going to watch a Ducks power play get started here. Andre Palat, 2 minutes for slashing. And the Ducks, 18.1%, as we said in Lightning Live pregame. They're middle of the pack in just about every big statistical category, but they find ways to win. The Lightning on the kill, ever improving at 83.1%. Now tied for 10th. And it's been a long climb up, Chief. They worked hard at it.
Yeah, they really have. And, you know, the #1 penalty-killing team in the league at home, and they have. It takes a long time. You could fall real quickly, but it's tough to get back on top again.
Puck deflects down the hallway behind the Lightning bench. Rickard Rakell, young prospect at center. And he's been acquitting himself well lately.
You take a look at these teams, the Lightning, obviously, we know the first in goals scored 172. Ducks are 7th. They're 152, so it's not that they can't score. It's that, with that record, you expect them to be #1 in almost every category you could think of, but they're not, except for 1-goal games.
Vatanen drops it right to Tyler Johnson, and with Getzlaf back with Fowler, he'll just chip it in. Lightning will make an easy change at the bench. Off to a good start halfway through this penalty. Getzlaf. Double team. Boyle trying to get it out. Paquette couldn't get it over the line. Getzlaf will set up along the boards now for Cam Fowler. Sami Vatanen, a big score on the power play. 6 goals and 16 points. The Ducks are chased back to center. And Getzlaf has trouble with a bouncing puck off the boards. Cedric Paquette along the boards, takes that hit, takes another one. Still delaying the Ducks in coming out with 30 seconds left on the Palat penalty. Oleski is surprised in this team with 20 goals. Can't get things started, and it's cleared out by Johnson.
Boy, that's what you really need. You got to be really aggressive, especially in that neutral zone. Really make it tough for them to gain entry to your zone.
Puck is sent down the ice. The race on for it, and the Lightning ahead of that race with the speed of Mark Barberio. An icing called against the Anaheim power play. Only 8 seconds to go on the Ducks power play chance.
Well, when you take a look at this Ducks team too, Rick, we have this great record, and they've lost a lot of man games. 264 man games lost to injury or illness. And the Lightning, we think, are having a tough time with injuries, which they are right now. They've only lost 96, so you can see that 2 3/4 times more games lost than the Lightning, and they're still up in #1 in the league, and they've been that way pretty much all the year.
Aaron Gibbs will drop the puck between Getzlaf and Johnson. Stoner grabs it. Johnson keeps an eye on him. Long pass at center for Smith-Pelly. Taken by Getzlaf, and his feet across, knocked out of the air by Kucherov with those great hands. Offside the call, as the Lightning now back to full strength. Score a Bud Light Up for Whatever package this Thursday at 7:30 when the Lightning battle the St. Louis Blues. Packages start as low as $75. Buy now at TampaBayLightning.com/tickets. Well, you know how tightly that game was played in St. Louis, the Lightning and the Blues, and Tampa Bay outplaying them, but losing in overtime, and they look for revenge on Thursday.
They held the Ducks to no shots on goal with that man advantage. They probably had the least amount of zone time. Probably Lightning had more zone time than the Ducks did in that power play.
Puck fired out of play by Brian Boyle. Boy, you look at the Lightning to score in the power play, they don't. But secondly, you look at them not to lose momentum from the great start. And That bore fruit with a goal by Boyle, and they haven't seemed to have lost a lot of steam, Chief. They come back with a strong kill.
Yeah, that's the intensity has to be at its best, and as much of the 60 minutes as possible. Can't be just for 20 minutes or 35. You got to have it pretty much the whole game if you're going to be successful, especially against the good teams.
Lindholm gets it up the boards. Tim Jackman trying to get to it, and he's stepped into by Boyle. Away comes Thompson. He's got Smith-Pelly with him. Lindholm, the defenseman, active on the rush. The pass picked off by Paquette. And it's flipped into that zone. He'll take on Lindholm. Silfverberg, the former Senator, couldn't get it out. Long shot is sent over the net. And Lindholm will get it out to center ice, shoveled back by Barberio, and it's taken by Fowler. Another young defenseman, very mobile, and a first-round pick from 2010, but he got moved out of there by Nikita Nesterov. Kessler hands it off. Silfverberg trying to return it to him. He finds it, centers it, and it's knocked away by Stamkos. Steven Stamkos out to center. Filppula by his side. Picks up the late man. It's tipped by Nesterov over for Callahan. Wheels it in front. They score! Valtteri Filppula goes top shelf. The Lightning have a 2-0 lead.
His 11th of the year at 13:42, but the Lightning speed and their transition game. Nesterov doing a nice job to get it over to Callahan, to Stamkos, and then Filppula coming in late. Puts it right up top where you really can't see the shot. Anderson hoping that he could just get big enough and have it hit him, but it didn't. So Filppula would probably be from Stamkos and Callahan. But Nesterov did a great job of moving that puck out and getting it up quickly.
Corey Perry flips it in deep in the Lightning zone. Bishop out to handle that puck. Slipped it by one man. Palat battling to get control. They get it back to Perry out in front. Kucherov right there in the slot to take over. Ducks are back. They prevent the dump in from getting behind the defense, but Johnson grabs the puck, and play is called. Now we got Perry taking a shot at Johnson, and Palmieri coming over there. Callahan and Stamkos indeed get the assists on the goal, and Getzlaf and Johnson are talking it over. And it's Tyler Johnson and the Lightning with a 2-0 advantage. Just under 6 minutes to go in this first period.
Let's take a look at tonight's GMC big matchup as the Lightning have that 2-0 lead. And most points per game versus Eastern Conference teams. As you see, Perry and Getzlaf outstanding. Those points per game. Sagan, Malkin, Crosby rounding out the top 5. But you can see why Anaheim is pretty much carried by those two guys right there.
Well, Chief, you made the point earlier. Lightning with 9 players with 10 goals or more than any other team. They've also now got 5 who have 11 or more, as both Boyle and Filppula have reached 11 goals on the season here in this first period. Smith-Pelly dumps it in from center. Bishop out to play it.
Kind of a sidebar to that too, Rick, is that Lightning have a lot of guys in double figures in the plus minus.
Yes, they do.
So it's not only their scoring, but they're also taking care of their defensive zone.
Puck swept by Stoner. Smith-Pelly trying to hook it on goal, just sends it wide. As Drouin playing it away to the corner. Raquel got it in front. This line with Bolesky and Smith-Pelly trying to get things established in the Lightning zone. Now Barberio bumped there by Smith-Pelly. And Killorn taking on Bolesky, who tried to get things going initially.
You're down 2-0. What do you think? You know, you've seen twice now after the whistle they're going after guys. What do you think their idea is right now? They want to try and intimidate the Lightning because they're not doing it with their speed. Patrick's big part of hockey night here in Tampa Bay, not only because we talk about it so much on TV, but it's a great place to start the game off. Or else finish the game. 3 blocks from the arena, you can walk there. It's a great place to have a great time. So Patrick's Tavern, the place to go and the place to finish your night here at Amalie Arena.
It's the Super Bowl every night there, isn't it, Chief?
It is.
In behind the net, Schuster playing it back to Hedman. His stick locked up by Palmieri. Schuster with it, chased by Perry. Boudreau going to his top line here in the offensive zone as Palmieri shoots, and it's intercepted by Hedman. Getzlaf gets a hold of it. Busheman sending it into a crowd. It's blocked by Schuster. Lightning control it. Do move it out to Callahan. He'll bring it in. Get it on goal. And it was deflected by Anderson. Almost on cue right to Filppula. That's exactly what Callahan had in mind. Getzlaf. Bring it back to Perry. Pass in his skates. Lightning dump it back to center. Callahan digs it off the board. Steps in. Hands it to Stamkos. Works against Fowler. Tucked it out in front. Fowler took it away. Ahead for Cogliano. He's nearing 600 consecutive games played. The longest consecutive game streak alive in the National Hockey League right now. He's at 594 with a game today. Here's Boyle. Ahead for J.T. Brown. Swings in. Backed up Boyle. Saved by Anderson. Puck swept away by Fowler. Lightning get a hold of it. Conley with it. Now to Strawman. Shoots into a crowd. It was stopped in front. Cogliano has it. And held in by Nesterov. Bouncing puck. Nobody can get a clean handle on it. And Silverberg is down in the defensive zone. Gets up now. Heads off.
He thinks he's playing soccer.
He looks stunned for a moment as he's now going to change. And Fowler realizing that players are involved in a change. Delays behind the net. Cogliano shovels it ahead. And it ends up out of play. Now we get to Jackman and Witkowski coming together briefly near the penalty boxes.
There is no question about what Anaheim's trying to do right now. Every whistle, they're trying to take a shot at players. There you see that one where Lightning almost had their third goal. Nice play by Brown to Boyle. Anderson had no idea where that puck was. He got over there very quickly just to make the save. There you see him making the spin. The puck's behind his right leg. You see it right there.
Maroon's pass taken over by Barberio. Now this will be an interesting test for the Lightning because the Ducks a physical team when they want to be, and they're certainly trying to draw them into penalties and get them to back off of that speed. Drouin with a pass ahead for Killorn. How do they react to this is going to be the question. He heads to the corner with Vatanen. Vatanen tugging at his sleeve as he came up the boards. Anderson, the Danish-born netminder, moving it along. And Barberio gets it back. Now it rolled away from him. Picked up now by Jackman. He's forced wide by Witkowski. In for the point, it's Lindholm. Met there by Paquette. Rolling puck. And Maroon with a shot. A save by Bishop. Rebound taken out of the slot by Killorn.
Great play by Barberio to lift that stick of Jackman when that rebound came out.
We've seen Maroon throw punches. He's got a bit of a touch. 5 goals this year. He had 11 last year. Pass in for Raquel. Forced to the boards now by Hedman. With it now, Valesky turning, firing, knocked down. Rebound came out of his reach. And Callahan steams ahead inside 2 minutes to go in the period. Slams on the brakes. Gets it back from Schuster. Filppula parked near the net. Schuster checked there by Busheman. Ryan Callahan. Tried to find Filppula in front. Nearly got it through Raquel. Rickard Raquel, first rounder from 2011, stumbles, able to clear the zone. Pass rifled off Hedman's stick. Smith-Pelly in for it. He's got reinforcements off the Ducks bench. Didn't make a good pass, though. He knocks down the outlet. Things getting a little scratchy here at both ends. Johnson swings in with Kucherov. The pass to Kucherov. He scores! A beauty! Johnson to Kucherov to make it 3-0.
His 20th of the year, third straight game he scored a goal in. We went dry for 13. Now he's got 3 straight. But what a play. You see those hands. That's the one thing. It's very, very close to that pole. Watch the Phantom can. Comes in here. You see Anderson moving over. He thinks it's too far wide. It's not. Look at that puck. You can almost read the writing on it as it's going into that net from that shot. Just inside the post. 3-0 Lightning. Kucherov's 20 from Johnson. At least one assist.
Kuch with goals in 3 straight now. Under a minute to go. In a much different first period to this game than we saw at this time yesterday. Racing for the puck, it's Johnson. Got there ahead of the speedy Palmieri. The shot by Palat was wide of the net. Palmieri known for his speed, but Tyler Johnson just passed him. Here's Callahan right back into that zone. Palat with a pass at his skates. Settles for controlling the puck. Flips it in there for Steven Stamkos, and Getzlaf takes it. Johnson and Filppula get the assists on Kucherov's 20th at 18:52. 10-4. Lightning ahead in the shots and 3-0 on the scoreboard. Witkowski. And the Lightning wind it back around to Barberio. He'll hoist it to center. Hampus Lindholm with a puck. Not cooperating. Take it over. Callahan waits. Couldn't get the shot away. Lindholm reached in with a stick, and they've run out of time. And Callahan looked to the heavens. He nearly made it 4-0. Stay tuned for the Gulf Coast Honda Dealers First Intermission Report. Here's what's coming up. Brian Boyle got things started. He'll talk about that with Paul Kennedy. We'll talk about the young defenseman stepping up for the injured vets. Highlights and stats. Dave Andreychuk joining Paul at the intermission. Shots end up 10-4, favoring Tampa Bay. Goals by Boyle, Filppula, and Kucherov is 20th. And Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers as the Lightning lined up as usual, ready to come out in mass for the next period, and they've got a 3-0 lead to get things started in the second period. Chief, just the highlights of the Lightning goals there. You see the great skill they always have with Johnson connecting with Kucherov, but that presence in front of the net on the Boyle goal, the Filppula goal, when they have that, they're really tough to beat.
You know what? When you get in that defensive zone as fast as they do, and you know what, you always have that team back on their heels. In fact, they don't protect the blue line as well, and makes it a little bit easier as the game progresses. Speed is such an intimidating factor, as much as physical play is. But when you have the speed, that defense is very nervous about staying up there because you can go around them quickly. So that gains entry, and that's what really happened so well for the Lightning in that first 20 minutes. That speed got them in the offensive zone, and they stayed there for a while.
Can they maintain it is the question here in the second. Of course, the Ducks, you expect to push back. They're at 75 points. Best record in the NHL. They're going to try to come back here. They'll outshot 10-4 and outscored 3-0 in the first period. The Lightning not able to take advantage of a 2-man advantage for the remaining power play time, but it didn't deter them at all. Ryan Getzlaf 6-0 in the faceoff circle. A big part of that difference in that statistic.
Interesting thing, too. Ducks had 11 shots towards the net. 4 got through. Lightning had 15 shots towards the net, and 10 got through. Big difference when you're getting those shots through and not getting them blocked.
13 Lightning players got a plus in that first period. Kucherov deflects the puck in. Sami Vatanen back, checks his options. Off the boards, and it's by Silfverberg. It comes back in deep in the Lightning zone, and Bishop will play it. Nesterov gets it ahead, not out of the zone, though, as Kessler played it back of the goal. Cogliano trying to clog things up here. At the point, Stoner shooting, and it deflects off Bishop. Quite a crowd in front. Palat launches it to center. Silfverberg came over from Ottawa in the Bobby Ryan deal. And Kucherov is onside, gets to it. Checked by Stoner, holds him off. Sets it up for Hedman. He had to reach back for it. Lightning trying to maintain control in the zone. Spoiled by Getzlaf. And the pass now in that zone for Palmieri. With the shot, a tricky one. It might have clipped Bishop's stick as Perry went diving through the goal mouth. And the puck ended up out of play.
It came right through the goal crease straight, and it went right over Bishop. And you take a look at it. He's not even trying. You can see him right there. He's tried to get out of the way, but didn't quite make it. But one of the things, the Lightning can't. We talked about how casual they were in their own zone against LA. They can't do that here. The start of the period, Anaheim's going to come out very, very hard. You got to make sure you're not casual with that puck in your defensive zone.
Perry, despite injury, has had a solid season. You saw their 23 goals, and they work it in front for him, and it's just by his stick. Filppula playing it out to center. Perry won the Rocket Richard Trophy in 2011 with 50 goals. Stamkos shared the trophy the year before with Sidney Crosby and won it the following year with a 60-goal season. And here's a pass to Steven, right on cue, cuts and shoots. Saved by Anderson. He looked over his shoulder. He wasn't sure if he had it.
I don't think there it caught up in his pad. You make a quick look to make sure. You try to do it casually so you look like, I knew it was there all along. But that time, I'm pretty sure he wasn't really sure. Take a look, see? Oh, I got it, yeah.
He's an interesting story. 20-5 last year. And he's followed that up with, as Chief pointed out, 29 wins. And he's been in a record-tying pace in terms of collecting victories in his brief NHL time. Bolesky back with the puck, knocked down by Drouin. Witkowski steps up. Drouin will shovel it in.
Yeah, 49 wins in 66 games.
Starts,
excuse me. That's the fastest, tied with Bill Durham, the old Montreal Canadiens.
Witkowski slid across, made the block. He's feeling it with that right leg or foot, but he got the job done. Now, Bill Durnan back at 44. That's a 70-year-old record he's tied.
I know, and he had the same numbers. There you see there. Timed it just perfectly.
And unfortunately, he's hobbling off down the hallway.
Yeah, he's going to try and walk it off. Boy, I'll tell you what, your whole leg goes numb. Not just your foot, your whole leg goes numb.
Boyle against Nate Thompson on this faceoff. J.T. Brown off the boards ahead for Conley. And the puck rolling to Anderson. Anderson got it away from Conley, but didn't control it. Conley trying to get it in front, could not. Two Ducks collided behind the net. And it's held in by Nesterov. Stoner has it. He's checked there by Brown. Strawman down the boards. Boyle checked there by Thompson. Stoner has it. Out in front. Now as Nesterov was pressuring from the point, something that he's not afraid to do at all.
Good read for him there because nobody knew he was coming in. At least none of the Duck players knew it.
Boschman getting it up the boards to Tim Jackman. Palat comes across, connects with a hit. Schuster has time to go back for it. He's working with Hedman. On the one touch, it's deflected across to Johnson by Kucherov. Johnson with speed in the zone, shooting, and a save by Anderson. Palat out in front. He had Schuster alone in the slot. The pass was behind him, and Silfverberg back the other way. Schuster worked hard to get good position on him. Kessler digs it free. Got it out to Francois Beauchemin, shooting, and it's blocked by Kucherov. Kessler has it back. Back to Beauchemin again. He'll throw it in the corner. It ends up getting in Martel's skates. The referee, Silfverberg, has it back. Kessler wants it out in front of the goal. They can't find him. Here's the shot by Lindholm that's blocked. Silfverberg goes down. Cogliano able to get to it. Turns and fires. Hedman gets a stick on it, looking for help. Palat provides it. Tied up by Beauchemin. Backed up by Silfverberg. And Kucherov just negated Palmieri's stick. That drive just missed the net. A sharp blast there by Hampus Lindholm. And the carom comes all the way out the center, and Kucherov will spin it in behind the net.
Yeah, he really wanted to get that change.
Long pass. Stamkos knocks it down. Boyle gets it back to him. Fights through a check. Cuts to the middle. Shoots. Save by Anderson. He'll hang on.
I'll tell you what, he's kind of fighting that puck, Anderson. It's hit him and it started to roll. He wasn't sure exactly where it was, but good play here again. That transition game for the Lightning. If they can utilize that when they're making those offensive rushes, they can really maintain a lot of zone pressure on Anaheim because they've got that long defensive change.
Filppula wins the faceoff. Stamkos. And a drive by Barberio that's wide. Corey Perry, the lead pass for Palmieri. Healthy scratch against the Caps. Back in. Boudreau putting him on that top line. Barberio has it. Ahead for Filppula in the middle. Now Stamkos on that right side. Back to Filppula. Brewer got a stick in there. Perry bouncing it back into the Lightning zone. Bolesky catching up on Boyle. Bolesky 20 goals this year. Has never scored more than 1 goal this season in a game. The pass deflects in off Getzlaf. And they wave it off. It's been waved off by Rob Martel. And he is checking with Darren Gibbs with what he saw. Comparing notes with Francis Chiron. The Ducks think they've scored, but it was immediately waved off.
The play is under review.
4:49 is the time of this review. Oh, I don't know. He kicked it. There's a direct motion. Watch his right foot as it comes across. Right here. And he just, you can left and turn your foot, but you can't move your foot like he didn't. He do it very subtly. You can see it right there. You can see it right back through there.
Distinct kicking motion. Now, who deflected it in with Boyle there defending?
Watch his right foot.
Does it go off Boyle's skate or does it go off Getzlaf's skate? Getzlaf thinks he has his 17th goal, and they have to come up with conclusive video to overturn the call on the ice, which was no goal.
Well, if they overturn it, then it can't be his goal because it goes off of Boyle. Right. So it'd have to be the guy from the corner.
Would be Perry.
Yeah, right.
Who made the pass in. As you can see, he's on the threshold of 200 career goals.
Lightning got to be much more. You see coming in there. Actually, it hit his skate.
It hits his skate and Boyle's skate, which...
Watch here. When you look at it, there's that skate right there. You can see it right here.
If that skate, his right skate, is determined to be a kicking motion, it doesn't matter if it hits Boyle and goes in.
No.
So that's what they've got to search through and decide whether he had a distinct kicking motion with the right skate.
It's right off his heel. I saw it the first time. I thought it was. And he moves it towards the goal. He doesn't just turn it. So that's what I think it's. Comes across and can't see. Like he kicked at it yet. I don't know. You can't tell from that angle.
Well, once again, to overturn it, it's got to be a conclusive piece of video that changes the minds of officials here, but more importantly in the war room in Toronto. They look at this and break it down. Martel in the headset communicating with the folks in Toronto. Like we've come up with a decision.
There's no goal on the play. There was no kicking motion. Correction. Correction. There is a goal on the play. The puck went off the Tampa player's skate.
Oh, now they're changing.
So it's a good goal.
Wait a minute now. He said no goal. Now there is a goal.
He said there was no goal, there was no kicking motion, and then he changed it. Bottom line is there was no kicking motion in the opinion of the video review folks.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what they watch, but there's a definite motion, but it depends on where it hits the first. Here's where you get a good look at it.
You got to be sure that's not a kicking motion if you're going to overturn it, because the call is no goal. And he said it went off Boyle. That doesn't matter if it went off Boyle.
Yeah. .449 will be the time.
Now Martell explaining to John Cooper, and Getzlaf having his say with the linesman Gibbs. And looks like he will get that 200th goal. 3-1 our score as play resumes. Shoveled ahead by Drouin. Crowd upset. Big crowd. Boy, they've had huge crowds here in these two weekend games back-to-back. Unusual for the Lightning to play back-to-back home games. They did early in the season with a rescheduled Montreal game early in that first homestand, and New Jersey the next night, and do so here. Getzlaf with his 200th career goal, 19th this year. Perry and Bolesky, the assists at .449. Horn storming in there along with Drouin, poked free, and the Lightning set it up for Hedman. Bouncing puck, and he couldn't make contact with it. Hampus Lindholm in behind to Beauchemin. And Lindholm looking to skate out. The speed of Johnson broke that up. Schuster has Maroon challenging him. Hedman getting it free to Kucherov, throwing it across for Alex Killorn. Lightning start the rush with Schuster. Fires it ahead between Kucherov, taken down there by Lindholm and Johnson. Anderson having problems communicating with his defense here and what he's doing with the puck. Beauchemin got it free, comes to Hedman, shooting just wide of the net, tipped by Johnson. He gets it, he fires, and it was blocked up high by Beauchemin. He stays out there, in fact blocks another try. Lightning keep it alive. Played back to Johnson. Throws it in front for Kucherov. It deflected off his stick. He calms it down, taken over by Kessler. Makes it to center. Played it off Hedman's legs. Silverberg from the angle. Kessler a rebound, and Bishop makes a couple of saves. Kucherov ahead for Andre Palat. Steps into that zone against Brewer. He'll drive it down the boards. And Brewer will play it out to center ice. Now that's the 17th goal for Getzlaf, a number 200 for his career, as Fowler playing it across to Brewer. 7 minutes gone here in the second. 3-1 Lightning leading. They had a 3-0 lead after one. Disputed goal by the Ducks has them on the board. JT Brown trying to hook up with Boyle. Fowler checked by Boyle. Brett Conley finds Witkowski wristing it, and it's blocked by Brown. Jackman had it worked away. However, the Ducks will send it in, led by Nate Thompson. Nate spending 4.5 years with the Lightning. Cogliano shoved to the ice by Conley. Lightning get the puck. Here comes Barberio. Lead pass for Conley. Leaves it for Steven Stamkos. Intercepted by Clayton Stoner. Back for Getzlaf. And it's by his reach. Strawman. With a sturdy Sentiment working on him. The turnaround by Palmieri is blocked, and Strawman has it once again. Callahan checked. Lightning do get it out. Getzlaf gets a hold of it. Botman's pass deflected by Callahan. He had 4 shots in the first period. Lightning at 10 shots. 5 players were responsible for the 10 shots. Filppula leads the forechecking effort in there. Stamkos off the boards, looking for a shot attempt. Now deals it. Schuster with a shot, slowed down by Corey Perry. Vatanen has it for the Ducks. He'll drop it back for Beauchemin, his partner. He's got to go all the way around behind the net. Bolesky. His pass picked off by Filppula.
Tell you what, that goal by Anaheim, I think it kind of sparked the Lightning.
Getzlaf
very quickly to get on the puck and really hard to win it back.
Smith-Pelly throwing it through the goal mouth, and Valesky was canceled there by Nesterov. Eric Brewer carrying it in deep. Schuster took it away. Smith-Pelly. Valesky along the boards. And clogged up with a couple of members of the Lightning who play it back out. Lindholm will send it in. Continuous play here in the second period. Since the goal credited to Getzlaf, it went off his skate, went off Brian Boyle, and into the Tampa Bay net. Smith-Pelly joined in the rush by Maroon. Coming late, Lindholm scuffs the shot. It's backhanded. Bishop a stop there. Raquel, though being checked, still had a chance to hook it into the net, and perhaps would have if not for Bishop. But Getzlaf, in a disputed play, has the Ducks on the board.
Despite being touched for 3 goals by Tampa Bay, Ducks goaltender Frederik Andersen is enjoying a career year. Today he seeks his 30th victory of the season. He won 20 all of last year. Perhaps his success is boosted by the fact that he is being tutored by Ducks goaltending consultant, one of the most significant figures in Lightning goaltending history, Dwayne Roloson. You recall he backstopped the Bolts in the 2011 Eastern Conference Finals in a 7-game series against eventual Stanley Cup winning Boston. Dwayne, of course, in the building today, Rolly the goalie. He retired at the conclusion, Rick and Chief, of the 2012 campaign at the age of 43. He had played for 6 teams, the last player to have been born in the 60s and to compete in the NHL. Doesn't that make you feel old?
Penalty on that.
We got a penalty right here, Paul. Thanks very much. Call coming up at 9:50.
It's got to be on Getzlaf.
Kessler questioning the call as he heads off. There's Rolly up in the press box looking on.
9:50 will be the time, and they're going into the end boards. He's got a pretty good bear hold on him. Try to watching her fight. See, look at that, hands wrapped right around him as he comes in. Right there. Well, the Lightning have their 3rd man advantage now. Now's the time to really try and help themselves and make it work.
Toyota power play opportunity for Tampa Bay. Kucherov sails it wide of the net. Vatanen gets to it, shovels it to the point. Strawman, a good play to hold it in. Andersen leaving it. They'll try the other side off the glass stanchion. It lands perfectly for Getzlaf. He had it taken away by Palat. Rolling puck, Palat getting to it. Back for Strawman. Shots 13-9 Lightning with that 3-1 lead midway through the second period. Kucherov. Lindholm got to it, sends it off the glass, down the ice. Bishop has to wait for that puck to come into the trapezoid to play it. He will do so for Conley. Strawman. He'll send it around off the glass support. Boschman back in action. He'd miss a shift after taking that shot high on the chest. Near the face, and an earlier shift in front of that Anaheim net. Filppula controlling it. He's got a goal and an assist tonight. Around they work it to Hedman. Watched by Cogliano. Sharp pass to Stamkos. He'll blast one. Silfverberg blocked it. Stamkos trying to lose him now. Hooks it back. Filppula with it. Palat in the slot. Conley settling in near the net. High shot once again. Blocked by Boschman as Stamkos let that go. See your life pass before your eyes when Stamkos lets one go towards your face, whether he gets good wood or not on it. 15 seconds to go on the penalty. Filppula guides the play in. Drouin takes it. Stamkos across for Hedman. He's trailed by Smith-Pelly, rolling it down the boards. Ducks come up with it. Penalty over. Lightning hold it in. Here's Witkowski shooting. Saved there by Andersen. He kicked it out with a right leg pad. And Kessler bumped into Hedman, knocking him over. And Brewer settles things down for the Ducks. Witkowski stole that lead pass. Lightning completing a change. Witkowski continues on. Joined by Killorn behind the net. Brewer has it. Uses the glass to get it out. It ends up deflecting into the Tampa Bay bench with 7:37 to go in the second period. Lightning lead is now 3-1. It's Timeless Moment brought to you by Coors Banquet. February 21st, 2012. Steven Stamkos scores 2 goals in the first period against the Ducks. His first goal, a power play goal, 28 seconds into the game.
Well, you see his career numbers against the Ducks in 5 career games. 4 goals, 7 points. Dearly love to add to that total here, especially here in the second. But the one thing the Lightning have done, which they wanted to do better tonight, better than they did against the Kings last night, was play much better in their zone, and they've done that pretty well. They've only allowed Anaheim 9 shots on goal to this point.
Getzlaf and Stamkos, the 2 captains facing off. And Getzlaf wins another draw. Here come the Ducks. Button hoists it high in the air, comes back toward Bishop. Schuster tied up on that battle for the puck. Down the ice, held in. Here's a shot that missed the net. Comes back out to Vatanen, and he's belted by Callahan. Schuster with Perry on him, got it free to Hedman. Negated by Getzlaf. Muscled his way to the puck. Out in front, Palmieri shooting. Saved by Bishop. Rebound off his arm. Drops side of the goal. Perry walking in front, shooting, and it's off a stick, deflected off the glass.
You got to win some battles out there. This is just not good.
Tapped ahead by Filppula. Here comes Callahan down the off wing. Callahan feeding it through, and Filppula checked to the ice by Vatanen. He reached for it, couldn't quite come up with it. Colliding with Anderson. Looks like they're both okay. Stoner at the other end, leaving it. Bolesky's shot is snuffed out. Palat ahead for Kucherov, looking to turn the corner, firing, and a glove save by Frederik Andersen. They get a whistle.
All right, here's Dave Clark's time once again. We want to say congratulations to Michael Wiggins here.
Well, Ben Bishop hasn't had a lot to do, but he's had some flurries. And this one right here, when you get Palmieri coming right there, get right off his left shoulder, was probably more close to that collarbone than the fleshy part of the shoulder. But big save by Ben Bishop.
Johnson against Rickard Rakell in this face-off. Ducks win another face-off. Lightning, by and large, have been pretty good in the second period on the draws. But the Ducks winning a couple here. Rakell from the corner. Knocked down by Witkowski. Barberio over for it. Avoids the hit from Bolesky. And Witkowski looks to the open boards. Johnson patrolling over there. His pass stolen. Bolesky fires. Stopped by Bishop. He had traffic from Smith-Pelly. Bolshevik up top, followed by Palat. Rakell backhands it toward the corner. It reaches Smith-Pelly. Johnson leaves it for Witkowski. He's checked in there by Smith-Pelly, a 220-pounder. Andre Palat has it with the Ducks changing. In for Johnson. He'll flip it to the corner. Brewer check. Lost the puck. Conley stopped. Here's Palat on the rebound. Trying to jam it home. They score! Anderson thought there should have been a whistle. .27. And what really happened, the Lightning were looking for a line change, but Palat stayed on and went and took the man out of at the end boards. I think the Ducks expected everybody out and allowed Conley to come up with a loose puck. Then he jammed at it. Then Palat jammed at it. And Boyle, coming in off the bench, was able to flip it up over top of everybody to pick up his second of the night and 12th of the year. But it was all set up by Palat staying on when everybody thought they were going to get a line change. That's a good goal. They got the go-ahead on that. The Ducks were protesting. But certainly not the case. Brian Boyle, who a few years ago had 21 goals for the Rangers, now with 12 goals, 2 of them tonight. Lightning not a strong play to lead the zone, but they're got a gift right back from Patrick Maroon, and Nesterov gets to the puck behind the net. He'll launch one off the backhand down the ice, and we'll get an icing call. It was waved off. They move it around for Silverberg. Down to Kessler. Fights off a check. Had it poked away by Nesterov. Bouncing puck. Picked up. Maroon fanned on it. Back hit on goal by Kessler. Stopped by Bishop. And we get the whistle. And a penalty upcoming. Booking the indication. Lightning back up by 3. Under 5 minutes to go in the second period.
Well, they haven't announced that goal yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Brian Boyle's second of the game, 12. Watch how the puck's rolling there. They're taking a run at it. Boyle comes in right there and flips it up over top of everybody. There's a Lightning, 4 guys down in that goal crease. And 14:27 nonetheless was the time of that 4th Lightning goal. But Palat making that whole play happen. I think he really surprised the Ducks. They thought everybody was going to make that line change, and they didn't.
Conley and Palat do get the assists on the goal. Conley's second helper as the penalty went to Nesterov for hooking. And the Ducks now with their second power play chance. Perry around to Getzlaf. Throws it back to the point. Getzlaf working up top with Vatanen. As he looks, fakes the shot, dealing it now to Fowler. And Fowler spins away from Hedman. Perry got it free side of the goal, and Bishop covers it up to get a whistle. 1:22 in the penalty. Get a Coke Zero Pin Pack Thursday at 7:30. Lightning hosting the Blues. Packages start as low as $20. Buy now at TampaBayLightning.com/tickets.
Well, Anaheim's power play has worked out pretty well since January 7th. They're clicking at about a 28.6% rate, which is excellent. Lightning's done a good job in their first opportunity. They have to do the same here in the second one.
The second effort from Ryan Getzlaf won the faceoff and made sure it stayed out of the hands of Paquette. Getzlaf with it, sliding it to Perry, around for Maroon, and it deflected off Strawman just wide. Perry getting it up top to Getzlaf. He's trailed by Boyle. Now to Fowler, loads up shooting, and it's deflected by Barberio, who slid in front of that shot. 51 seconds to go in the Nesterov hooking call. Sammy Vatanen in a hurry, had it worked away by Paquette. Barberio wedged him off. Kessler steps away with a puck. Out to Lindholm. Perry off the half boards, firing it. Once again, Barberio getting a leg on the shot. Kessler controlling from the corner, slips it neatly in front. Back out, there's a shot deflected. Perry bowls over Ben Bishop, play continuing. Bishop getting to his skates. Perry, he's up and at him. Here's Kessler shooting, and a blocker save by Bishop. Crowd upset at the lack of a goaltender interference call there. Good play by Strawman, got the puck free. Paquette clears it out. 5 seconds to go on the Ducks power play.
Absolutely amazes me the beating that Bishop takes in that net and never gets a call from the officials.
Perry must have really been bowled over for them to overlook goaltender interference there. I'll be interested to have a second look at it as the penalty's over and the play is halted on the offside.
Wow, they had 2 shots in this power play. Watch when it comes in. There he is. He's set up right here. he was barely touched. And look at where he's set up there. He's in the crease. That's the thing. If he's outside of that blue, all right, but he's in the crease, and when he makes that big effort there.
And the Ducks down 3 for the second time in the game, and they're going to that playbook once again. Try to get Bishop off his game. They've done a lot to try to get the Lightning off their game, and Tampa Bay's not taking the bait. They've stood right in there with them.
They managed but 2 shots on that power play right at the very end of it. The Lightning did a really good job of keeping them to the perimeter. And from the outside, they were blocking a lot of shots.
Stamkos wins the faceoff, back for Hedman. Rims it for Filppula. Callahan pressuring Lindholm, and Stamkos holding it in. Fights off a check on the backhand, and he's hooked. A penalty upcoming, and it will go to Nate Thompson for preventing that shot by Stamkos. But the Lightning will go to the power play and get their fourth chance.
Anaheim penalty number 44, minor penalty for hooking.
17:41 will be the time. The Lightning, if we've got to start making something happen with this man advantage, they can really take away a lot of the aggressive play of the Ducks if they do make it happen. Just point out, Mark Barberio was outstanding in that penalty kill. If you take a look at the times, only had Victor Hedman on that defense played more in that first period, and it was only 10 seconds more.
Islav wins the face-off, and it's sent by Stoner. The Lightning hold it in. Stamkos out of Hedman. Has a little room. Walks in. Back to Stamkos. Bill pull up. Stamkos the one-timer, and it rocketed off Getzlaf and wide. And the Ducks fire it around the boards and out. Lightning at home ice a little over 20% on the power play. Did not score with the man advantage yesterday. Held off on 3 chances so far in this game as Hedman trying to get it back to Stamkos, interrupted by Silverberg, and the pass ahead to Cogliano, racing in, shoots, Bishop a save. Cogliano chased by both Drouin and Hedman, got that sharp shot away, tried to go low on Bishop, and he stayed steady. He's got the puck again, poked away by Bishop. And still it's up for grabs. Cogliano in there once again, and Drouin getting it free, but not out. Held in by Brewer, that's fired on goal by Silverberg. Lightning get a hold of it. And here comes Filppula into the zone. Leaves it. Stamkos fires by the glove of Anderson. Smith-Pelly will get it out. Under a minute to go here in the second period. Penalty time 33 seconds on the Thompson call. Ducks with a handful of opportunities to score shorthanded. They've scored 6 this year. Palat. Around to Johnson. Back to Palat up top. It's Strawman. Kucherov waiting. Fires across. Johnson shoots. Glove save Anderson. Puck drops for Palat. Taken over now by Lindholm. Ducks will finish off this Thompson penalty as he's back on the ice with 15 seconds to go before the intermission. Ducks threatening that 3-0 lead with the goal by Getzlaf that was ruled not to be kicked in. But the Lightning answer right back, and they've got a 4-1 lead. Closing moments here in the second, and the shots end up 19-16. 12-9 Ducks in the second period. Luke Witkowski joining Paul at the intermission. That's part of our Gulf Coast Honda Dealers second intermission report. We'll take you around the league, the other action earlier, and tonight the NHL. And we'll honor another pioneer in our celebration of Black History Month. Highlights and stats with Dave Andreychuk as well. So make sure you stay with us. And Sun Sports has been brought to you by Gulf Coast Honda. Visit your Gulf Coast Honda dealers for great deals on new Hondas. Go to gchondadealers.com. By Kaiser University, over 90 programs online and on campus. Learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. And by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers. Well, this has been winning time so many times at Amalie Arena. The third period for the Tampa Bay Lightning They go into this third period with a 3-goal lead. Chief, we expected the Ducks to push back in the second. They did. They got one on the board. Tampa Bay coming right back with an answer.
Yeah, they did, and that really helped, I think, calm them down a little bit. They didn't have as strong at the second period as we saw in the first, but I thought they did a great job on the penalty kill. They haven't given Anaheim too much opportunities to go there. They had a couple of shots on that last power play that Ben Bishop was very, very strong on, but again, that penalty kill, which is number 1 at home, has really been a big factor in their victories here.
And they've only had the couple of opportunities as we look at the Chase review through 40 minutes of play, and that's key too, and something that the coaches stress a lot. Don't take penalties against good power plays.
Exactly. And, you know, with that face-offs, when you see there, it's mainly because of Ryan Getzlaf. He's the only guy that's over 50%, and he's at 83% on the face-off circle tonight. He hasn't lost too many.
10-2 through the first 2 periods, but Brian Boyle's got the hot stick on that Lightning bench. He scored twice. Dave Andreychuk also pointing out, rightfully so, the Getzlaf goal actually went off his skate. He'd rather forget that one. Well, he's a +1.
Exactly.
And we'll see what he and his teammates can come up with here in the third period. He'll look on as the triplets open the period against Kessler's line. And Nesterov, who's played a little over 7 minutes, 7:27 to be exact, but he's a +3. So he has made good effectiveness of his ice time. And he's trying to slow up the Ducks here. Silverberg, who goes down easily, went down again. Bishop playing that puck in the trapezoid for Nesterov, ahead for Palat. And away comes Kucherov, shovels it ahead to Johnson. Vatanen in pursuit. The pass to Strawman, who was trying to join the attack. Patrick Maroon bulls his way down the boards. He's got Kessler driving the net. Ends up on goal. Bishop turned to the side. Maroon reaching it, getting it back to Lindholm. Wine shoots, and it's deflected away by Johnson. Palat lobs it off the boards. Not much on it. Play backed up, and an extra effort by Kucherov forced the Ducks back. Hampus Lindholm waiting for a change to be completed at the Anaheim bench, and it's Ryan Getzlaf who will set up shop behind the net.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you take a look at Kucherov and how well he plays defense, it's incredible. It's just determination and hard work, and he's really done a great job of that.
Here's a drive by Boschman, and he fires it wide. Smith-Pelly getting involved with Bishop near the goal mouth. Lindholm's try shoveled away by Hedman and back to center. Interesting play by Getzlaf as he fired it down ice, knowing that Perry was ahead of everyone. There would be no icing. It's an interesting entry into the zone, but it worked for them as the Lightning try to respond to that, and it's pitchforked to center by Stamkos.
That's what Montreal did all that playoff year, Rick. They would just fire the puck down there and hoping, which they did almost 95% of the time, their wingers would get there first.
Raquel spins it in front, played away by a well-positioned Cedric Paquette. Brewer holding it in, backhands it wide. Witkowski challenged in there by Bolesky. Palmieri slipped through Bolesky. Ricard Raquel after it. Killorn heads back to the corner. On the boards comes Cam Fowler. Barberio hurries over for it. And Witkowski trying to move it out ahead to Paquette. Ends up with Brewer. Ducks starting to get acclimated in that Lightning zone early here in the third. They pull back on a change. Luke Witkowski has the puck. Luke in that first couple of periods playing 7:05. Anton Strawman playing a little over 11 minutes, so it's been an odd distribution of ice time. Well, he didn't play much in the first period, as you noted, Chief.
Yeah, about just a little over 4 minutes. I thought possibly he might have been hurt.
Cogliano trying to lose Barberio. Turns, fires, sends it wide. It comes back to Stoner. He shanked the shot. Ducks getting to it. Couple of heavy bodies on the forward lines coming up with pucks. Jackman with a try. It's deflected and gloved by Bishop. A lot of chaos going on around him. He calms things down.
Well, you take it time leaders. Victor Hedman 16.5, and then 13:01 by Barberio and 13:18 by Schuster. Those were the big minute guys in the first 40 minutes. But right now, you determination of the Ducks is a little bit more intense than the Lightning at this point of this period. They've been really quick to the pucks, and their puck retrieval has been very good here early in the third.
Johnson goes against Kessler in this faceoff. Johnson takes a seat, got it free though, and it's punched out to center by Stralman. Francois Beauchemin with a long pass, knocked down by Palat. Somehow able to control it out of the air. Kessler coming back to get control for Anaheim. Lightning have had little opportunity to get their forecheck going so far here in the first 4 minutes of the third period. Bishop will get another whistle. Kind of looked like they might have that chance on the Palat interception at center. Let's take a look at the Lightning's upcoming schedule presented by Steak and Shake.
Well, the Lightning leave tomorrow afternoon for that single game in Nashville. That'll be a great game between the two teams. And then back home against the Blues on Thursday before they head out west for about 11 days, starting in San Jose, L.A., and then back with these Anaheim Ducks a week from this coming Wednesday.
Coming into action today, the Ducks, the Predators, and the Blues all had 34 wins. The Lightning had 33. Well, as Paul told you at the intermission, Predators won in a shootout 3-2 over the Panthers. They're now 76 points. Here's a shot that bounced wide off Hedman, and Bishop couldn't cover it. Stamkos has the puck. He'll move it out. And Bishop still tangled up behind the play. Smith-Pelly finally rejoins the play, gets back onside, gets the pass. He shoots, he fires it over the head of Bishop. Anyway, Nashville now first overall. Here's Perry shooting. Save Bishop, covers the puck.
I'll tell you what, the Lightning are so casual with their entry or with their exits in their zone. And all they're doing is just turning the puck over, turning the puck over, turning the puck over. You get control, and as you get guys out of position, the defense is so quick to move before the puck's even out of their zone. You get guys caught behind them. Bishop's had to come up with a couple of pretty good saves to keep this game still a 4-1 lead.
Well, he's had the constant presence of Perry and Smith-Pelly around him, sometimes on him. Barberio off the glass, out to center, knocked down by Brewer. The Lightning get control. And Fowler gave it up. Drouin trying to come up with it. Brewer quickly pounced on that play, but it's Killorn who steps in front of the goal. Drouin battling with Brewer around the net. Paquette swings by to take control. Out to Witkowski at the point, wristing it, knocked down by Brewer. Kyle Palmieri rolling it back to Fowler. Fowler starts it ahead. 12th overall pick in a talent-rich 2010 draft. A lot of people surprised he went that late. And the Ducks happy to have it.
I think you're going to have really, or try to have really short shifts here in the third. Again, remember, they played last night. Ducks played Friday, so they've got at least 1 day rest.
Barberio fighting through a check, gets it up the board. Stoner holding it in. And we get the whistle.
Ducks are upset with that pan pass call. Take a look at the playoff picture. As you see, that's updated as well. Nashville on top in the Central. Anaheim on top of the Pacific. And they got a pretty good race for the wild card. See there. There's a couple of surprise teams out west in the playoff on Winnipeg. I'm sure
they're trying to hang on.
Yeah, but they're a little bit of a surprise that they've done so well as they have.
Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary especially.
Ducking in, Sami Vatanen. Stopped by Bishop. Worked free side of the goal. Nesterov with it. So Nashville, the new #1 right now, pending the outcome of this game, and the Lightning have them next up on the schedule. Palat shooting, and it's handled by Anderson, and Palat gets it going in the corner here as he and Stoner separated. Hey, NASCAR fans, the Grab Your Crew finalists have been announced. Log on to foxsports.com/grabyourcrew and vote for your favorite crew. The winning crew heads to the Daytona 500 with the Fox Sports Girls.
the Lightning's first shot on goal here in the third, and we've seen them really take over games when they've had the lead in the third period. Right now, Anaheim's done a much better job of playing in the Lightning zone.
Getzlaf motors to center, leaving it for Perry. Pass across for Smith-Pelly was deflected. Getzlaf gave it up to Callahan. He hands it away. And Lindholm back down the boards to Corey Perry. Got it out in front, and Smith-Pelly couldn't get the shot away. Hedman defending. Here's a drive blocked by Callahan. Another try that's wide of the net. Filppula peeling back for it. Spins off the Perry collision. Got it free to Stamkos. Lightning busted out. 3-on-1. Stamkos with Callahan. Stamkos shoots. They rebound. They score! Callahan converted on the rebound as Stamkos faked out the house.
Well, Anaheim has to get guys up in front of that offensive zone. They had 3 goals that they had to come back on, so they're going to get chances. That created that odd man rush, and I think Stamkos really wanted to shoot it low on the ice anyway to see if he could get a rebound, and he did. Callahan made sure that he stayed in front of the net long enough to be able to pick it up, backhanded home for his 16th of the goal, or excuse me, of the year. 6:14 is the time of the goal.
See him sweep it in there on Phantom Cam. Stamkos opened up like he was thinking pass all the way. Quickly released that shot at Anderson to stop, but he couldn't control that rebound. Filppula gets the second assist, so that line continues to produce in this contest. The Lightning.
The 5-1 lead, Coach John Cooper and so many of the Bulls now enjoying success in the National Hockey League after making their mark in the AHL with affiliates both in Norfolk and in Syracuse. You recall in 2012 when Syracuse won the Calder Cup, they had a 28-game winning streak. Well, the Anaheim Ducks have purchased that franchise. They're relocating the Admirals to San Diego as part of the creation by NHL teams of a new Pacific Division. Anaheim, Calgary, Edmonton, the LA Kings, and San Jose, all with their top minor league affiliates now in California. Proximity, certainly, to their major league clubs will make it far more efficient in player development. But it's a new era for the American Hockey League, Rick and Chief, as Norfolk departs that league and 5 NHL clubs bring their affiliates west.
Thanks, Paul. You're looking at a member of the AHL Hall of Fame, Bruce Boudreau. Great player and a very successful coach. Calder Cup winner.
Well, he was a scoring machine when he played in the American Hockey League, wasn't he? He had a little bit of time with the Maple Leafs, but not a lot. Came up in the wrong era. Wasn't a real big player.
Well, the Lightning have a 5-1 lead. The last time they met the Ducks in this building, it was November of last season. The final score was 5-1, but we've got 13-12 to go in the third period of this meeting as Brewer keeps it moving. Around to Jackman. Pressured. Ducks skated out. Swept away by Boyle. Lightning with a number of multiple-point players so far, with Filppula leading the charge 3 points. Callahan, Stamkos' line mates picking up a couple in this contest. Raquel from center for the Ducks will play it in. They'll take on Nesterov. Moves around him. Can't make a play. Lightning with help on the way with Paquette on the scene. Cedric with a pass off the glass. Swept in by Stoner. Killorn. Now to Cedric Paquette. Well, that Stamkos line coming up with the points. We've seen the Paquette line carry this team for a few games. Obviously, the triplets carrying the team for a number of games. Great balance through that lineup. Hey, fans, the Subway Student Rush ticket scores you the best available seat for just $20 with a valid student ID Thursday when the Lightning host the Blues at 7:30. More info at TampaBayLightning.com.
We talked about this.
It was a shot by Vatanen. It went off his stick, went wide. Bishop able to cover it. Now we got Maroon involved with Paquette around the back of the net, and Paquette's going to throw a left at him. And Kessler and Nesterov are tangled up. Killorn comes in there. Bishop covering it, and Maroon came down hard with that stick on his catching glove.
That's the thing. I like seeing that. Any team could go after you. You can take a jab at a goalie and slap at his hands. You got to come into his aid.
19 Anaheim, 13 Tampa, 2 minutes each for roughing.
And we saw that against L.A. last night when when Schuster poked at Jonathan Quick. They got there very quickly. You can't let guys do that to your goaltender.
Maroon battling Luke Witkowski in the first period. Back of the box here for roughing. Same for Cedric at 7:44. 4-on-4 session.
It's the CW 44, 4-on-4.
Filppula ties up Kessler. The reinforcements step in there to try to control that puck. Ryan Kessler, one-time 40-goal scorer with the Vancouver Canucks the year that they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, lost in 7 games to the Bruins. Rick Bowness, part of that coaching staff. Filppula work the puck free. Here he comes. Pursued by Stoner, looking to make a play. Stops, had the puck taken away, and down he went. He was looking all the way to set up Callahan. Rod wanted a penalty call, none forthcoming. Silfverberg back to Beauchemin, who rockets one wide of the net. Stamkos. Bring it back to Anton Strawman. Back to Stamkos now. Stick handles in. Swings wide. Takes a hack from Beauchemin. Penalty upcoming. And the Lightning will get a power play chance as Chiron will send Beauchemin off at 8:35.
5th power play opportunity for the Lightning coming up now.
23 Anaheim, 2 minutes for tripping.
Tripping will be the call on this one. 8:35. There you see there. But Filppula, he does a great job, and it looks like why he wouldn't want to take it right to the neck. Ned, he actually tripped himself up as he just stepped on the stick of Stoner.
The Lightning have Hedman, Kucherov, Stamkos, and Callahan in a 4-on-3 power play, and they get control. Their 5th opportunity in the night. Stamkos wide fires, and his shot deflected, breaking the stick of Eric Brewer, and the puck ends up out of play. Break for the Ducks, because Brewer would have been left out of there without a stick.
Exactly.
There's the classy veteran.
I talked with him a little bit before the game, Rick, and said the foot took him a while to heal. He's got some screws in the foot. Since that takes even longer.
Off the face-off, Callahan playing it back out for Hedman. Brewer comes up with a puck. He's able to keep it away from Hedman and sliding it down the ice. Bishop out for Nikita Kucherov. Scored his 20th goal of the season in the first period. Bring it back to Stamkos. Now to Hedman. Lee Thompson falls down. Stamkos getting it to Hedman. Across, Kucherov breaks his stick in that one-time attempt. How many sticks have been broken on power play opportunities? We've got a penalty upcoming here. And Chiron with the call against the Lightning.
I think they're giving it to Kucherov for throwing a broken stick. Instead of you got to just drop the stick. You can't throw it, and that's what Kucherov did. He threw it in the corner. He was so angry. Watch when he takes C right here. He gets it, and he just, he tossed it at Cam Fowler, but that's what they're going to call interference on Kucherov. But I know you can't throw your stick. You got to drop it. That's it. 9:21 will be the time of that interference call. So Lightning had a very short-lived power play. Well, not too short. Minute 37.
Well, those of you who want to see 3-on-3 in overtime, here's a preview. Each team 2 players in the penalty box. This is what you're left with. No fewer than 3 skaters on the ice. That's what we've got. Strawman, Nesterov, Johnson, the 3 Lightning players on the ice. Getzlaf puts it back. Lindholm shooting deflected in on Bishop, and it bounces right up into his lap. 6 seconds left on the penalties to Maroon and Cedric Paquette.
Yeah, it's been a strange game for Ben Bishop. He's had long stretches where he never had any shots, and then stretches where, boy, they were all around his net. He had to come up with some pretty acrobatic saves.
Stroman parks himself behind the net. The pass ahead for Johnson. Now we're back to 4-on-4 as Maroon and Paquette join the play, and Johnson realizing that a change had to be made there as he's joined by Palat coming off the bench. Matched up with Lindholm, who played him well. And Palat got it out in front. The Ducks take over. Now the net knocked over Anderson, and hopefully he wasn't hit by that.
What's Getzlaf doing? He's coming over talking to Palat. He was trying to come out. He was hit. Actually didn't do anything. I don't know how that net turned over. He was just standing there, both of them.
Well, they're checking out Frederik Andersen to make sure he's all right.
That's a weird play.
And we'll check on his condition and take a further look in this play. The Lightning leading 5-1 here in the third.
Well, you see Frederik Andersen going off to the dressing room. Brizgalov has come in to replace him. This is what happened. But you got to really watch this is Hampus Lindholm's stick. You can see it right here. He's the one when he came in to check Palat. His stick jammed into the net and knocked it off. And Palat wasn't even, was just standing there. Now it comes down on top in the back of his head. He went off. And now Brizgalov is in.
Brizgalov has made 6 starts for the Ducks since he was signed as a free agent December the 9th. His first game the middle of December. Had a couple of poor outings, but he's coming off a good one. Even though they lost in a shootout against the Capitals a couple of nights ago, he played very, very well to help them get a point in that one. Of course, he was a member of that 2007 Stanley Cup team. Certainly he's had the long and winding road to get back to Anaheim. And he'll take over for Frederik Andersen here with under 10 minutes to go in the third period. And Alex Killorn speeds after a loose puck. He'll start it in. Hangs onto it. Can't lose Vatanen. Back to Anton Stroman, firing, and he rockets it wide. Rebound just bounced away from Stamkos. And the Ducks come up with it. Bolsheman out of the box. Cuts in. Caught up to by Stroman. Poked away by Bishop. And Fowler has to go to the corner for the puck. Lightning defending that well. Still short-handed now. Ducks on their third power play. With Kucherov in the box for 25 seconds.
Well, good play by Barberio to make sure that he picked up that trailer. He just looked around to make sure he was there.
Sent in by Brewer. Around for Perry. Gave it up to Hedman. Perry gets it back. Lost to the Boyle. Off the boards. Kept on the line by Fowler. Ducks hold it in. Pass in behind for Smith-Pelly. Wrapped up by Schuster. Hedman in for the puck. Kucherov back on. Team's at full strength. We had a brief 3-on-3. Perry trying to walk in front. Hits the back of the goal, trying to center. Schuster double-teamed. Getzlaf and Smith-Pelly working on him. Getzlaf out in front. Sends it off the side of the goal as he went to the forehand. Perry trying to keep that play down low. Schuster escapes with a puck. Hedman has a clear opening to skate to center and drive it in off Brizgalov, the 34-year-old. He backed up Jean-Sebastien Giguère on that Stanley Cup team. Lead pass out of the reach of Johnson. He makes sure that Bolsheman couldn't pick it up. Conley comes by for it. Brett with 2 assists on the night. Going to make his way to the front of the net. He's chased back to center. Witkowski handles it. Played in by Barberio. Stoner takes a look around. Played back behind the net. 7:34 to go in the third. Lightning looking to close out a 5-1 lead. Barberio, the pass around to Palat. Had it taken away by Raquel. Trailed by Palat. Gets it back to Fowler. His pass missed the mark. Comes out to center. Stoner getting to it. I think 5 players with 2 points or more in this game. Picking up the puck, it's Rickard Rakell. Forced to the boards. Barberio closed him out. Into the puck, Silverberg. Andrew Cogliano trying to lose Witkowski. Here's the shot by Rakell, and it's center of the net. Comes back to Fowler. His try sticked away by Stamkos. Popped in the air. Cogliano has it. Shoots. And it's deflected away to the corner. Filppula trying to hold off Sami Vatanen. And he's going to get a call against Filppula. Delayed penalty against the Lightning. And the play is whistled down. We'll get the penalty here at 13:27.
What?
Filppula wondering what happened. Who, me? As Martel's got the call.
Tampa Bay penalty number 51, minor penalty for elbowing.
Elbow is the call. This is getting to be a game of touch.
Tonight's Go to the Game is captain. Simply visit lightningfanrewards.com, presented by Checkers, and enter tonight's Go to the Game Day Challenge. Win tickets, Checkers gift cards, or earn points through trivia, polls, predictions, and more. It's all on lightningfanrewards.com, so log on now. 13:27, the time of the penalty. A 4th Anaheim power play. Ryan Kesler with a shot, and it was steered away as Boyle got a stick on it right from the point it was released. Boyle getting a stick on that pass. He's been everywhere in this game tonight. A key performer as we enter this final third of the regular season. We talked about it in the open. These are the guys that you need all over the ice, and he's been just that tonight, Chief.
He really has. He's been rewarded for two goals, but his best, I think, has been his defensive play and how well he's kind of neutralized the size of Anaheim. He's been really good.
Boschman saves the play. Getzlaf out in front to Kesler. He'll go back to the point. Here's a shot by Boschman, and it's blocked by Stroman. Lightning trying to get it out. And Palat, and an easy clear, couldn't do it. Here comes Getzlaf to hold it in. Out in front, it comes right to the slot, and instead of shooting, Bolesky will drop it to the point. Getzlaf, side of the goal. Palmieri centers, deflected off Bishop. He's reaching for it. Johnson has it. He'll fire it away. Well, that's what I don't understand. It's just about every power play, Chief. They get in the slot, and it's not the play that they diagram for the power play, so it's got to go back to the point. Hooked in front, deflected, they score. Perry reaching for it. He had a sliding Mark Barberio there defending. Or Anton Strawman, pardon me. And the Ducks end up scoring to make it 5-2 with a power play goal.
Yeah, it was just a pass out front, and all it did was bounce off of Barberio there as he's trying to get it. So the goal will go to Sami Vatanen. Why does Barberio get a penalty?
So apparently the infraction took place right there on a slash.
Yeah, but that's...
And it hits Stroman and goes in.
But doesn't that, when the goal scored, doesn't that erase the penalty?
You would think. And it's Sami Vatanen who starts it in. He'll get credit for that goal, and he leads the team now with 7 power play goals and 17 points with a man advantage.
2 minutes for slashing at 14:57.
Well, there's 4:45 left. That's a big goal. He's going to kill off this power play.
Perry winding it back to the boards. No one there. It's sent off a stick and pops out of play.
I guess the idea was that because there was a man in the box for a penalty, that he comes out and then that penalty still takes over.
So even though it looked like it was delayed penalty, they were already shorthanded. So.
Right.
1 for 4 are the Ducks.
The Anaheim goal scored by number 45.
Here's Bolesky winding, shooting, sends it wide. Rebound in front, fired wide by Fowler. And Boschman down the boards. It pops free, knocks off the ledge of the boards. And Strawman backhands it away. Votnin's 12th from Getzlaf, and Brizgalov, the goaltender, comes in relief of Anderson, picks up an assist. Lightning hold up the rush by Anaheim. Back for it. It's Fowler. 5-2 our score. Under 4 minutes to go. Third period. 51 seconds remaining on the Barberio penalty. Strawman fires off the boards. Palat has it, and he'll get it down the ice. Shots for the game, 23-22, favoring Tampa Bay. Here comes Getzlaf to center. In for Ricard Raquel, loads up for the shot. It was blocked by Victor Hedman. They ride each other through the boards. As from the point, it's Vatanen firing, and he whistles it wide. Not a big guy. He's got a heavy shot. Getzlaf. Gets it back from Vatanen. He'll drive it, deflected off Paquette. Stopped there. Bishop was contacted in front.
Perry just knocked him right off the way. What do you have to do to get a goalie interference? This Perry's been on him all night long.
Bishop another stop. Barberio out of the box. Lightning killed a penalty. Out in front, Schuster shoveled it away. Under 3 minutes to go in the third period as Anaheim sent back to center, and Hedman will dump it in deep for a full change. Out comes Stoner to center. Flips it wide. Barberio in after it. Centered by Cogliano, just out of the reach of Thompson. They score!
Telling you.
Eric Brewer drove it home through a screen. It's now a 5-3 hockey game.
I think the game's over. You know what? You're 5-3 now. You got 2:34 to go. It's just been one bad defensive play after another. They're not paying attention to anybody coming around. You got 4 guys around there. Everybody's down by the goalie.
Eric Brewer scoring his first goal of this season. This is his 22nd game. Last time he scored a goal was for the Lightning against Columbus right before the end of the season. Ducks trying to play it in the zone to Cogliano. Hit him in the back. Strawman shoved out of there by Thompson. Lightning get it out to center. 2:20 remaining here in the third period. Brewer gave up the puck. Played back for Palat. Brewer gets it off his stick. Thompson and Cogliano assist on that goal at 17:26. Puck slips through center, races on. Smith Pelly gets to it. Cogliano in front, shooting, saved by Bishop. That turns out to be a big stop as Brizgalov was just going to the Anaheim bench for an extra skater as the Ducks down by a couple to 2:03 remaining in regulation. Bishop called upon here to hold the fort.
Scoring time left here in regulation. Ackerman Diamond Performance presented by Ackerman Jewelers. It goes to Brian Boyle tonight with his 2 goals. Open up the scoring at 2:55. Got a big goal in the second period to give the Lightning back their 3-goal lead, his 12th of the year. And you see that 3 hits, and it was very solid in the face-offs and an excellent penalty killer for the Lightning. So our Diamond Performance, Brian Boyle.
Face off in the Lightning zone. It comes back to Vatanen with the wrist shot. A high one blocked by Hedman. It's played ahead to Paquette. Played back in the zone by Vatanen. Play offside.
Well, they had the game completely under control there for a while, and then a couple of penalties. The power play goal by Vatanen, and then Brewer with the goal makes it a little more of a ticklish ending than you'd want.
Sellout crowd, 19,204. Back-to-back sellouts on this back-to-back home weekend for the Lightning. Now Brizgalov heading for the bench for the extra skater. And it's Maroon as Perry from the corner in behind the net. Fired back around to Getzlaf. 6 skaters on for Anaheim. Down a couple now with 1:35 to go in the third period. Vatanen with the puck, shooting, knocked down in front. Kessler was screening Bishop. The puck rolls to him. He covers it up. Your Tampa Bay area BMW centers want to remind you to tune in Tuesday. The Lightning traveling to Nashville to take on the Predators. Coverage begins at 7:30 with Lightning Live pregame. The Bolts and the new #1 team in the NHL overall standings, the Nashville Predators, Tuesday night right here on Sun Sports.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that, Rick, is that both these teams, Nashville and the Lightning, are #1 or #2 in a lot of categories throughout the league.
Well, the parade of tough teams just continues for Tampa Bay with the home game against St. Louis on Thursday. They're also right up there in terms of wins, as we talked about. Well, they were beaten by the Blackhawks earlier today.
Yeah, at home as well. Empty net goal by Marian Hossa iced it for them.
Ducks are going to take their timeout. Shots favoring the Ducks now 26-23 with the pressure they put on, trying to come back late, down by 5-1, but they've scored twice in about 2.5 minutes on the goals by Vatanen and Brewer as we look at the February schedule for the Lightning.
Well, you see that Monday, or the gap tonight, they'll leave Monday for that game in Nashville, get back in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, play St. Louis on Thursday, then leave Friday for that West Coast trip. So the Lightning will get a couple of days to get acclimated to the time change. San Jose, LA back-to-back, Anaheim, then Arizona, Colorado back-to-back.
Then a breather for a few days before the Blackhawks. And they're right behind all these top teams in the West we're talking about. Of course, a couple of more points now with 66 off the win over the Blues as Filppula goes against Kessler in this faceoff. On the 6-against-5 skaters situation. Ducks get it. Getzlaf turns with it. Now to Vatanen, shooting deflected in on Bishop, who turned to the side. Kessler in behind the net. Leaving it now for Boschman. Popped it in front. Tip free. And reaching for it, Stralman gets his stick on it. Able to get it off the glass and get it out. Getzlaf with a pass. Taken over by Filppula. They get it to the red line, but Perry controls under a minute to go. Corey Perry with a shot. A save by Bishop. Sharp release there by Perry with traffic. Stralman burrowed in there trying to get a hold of the puck. The shot went wide. Comes back to Getzlaf. Vatanen fires away. Knocked down in front of the crowd. A block there made by Stamkos in front of the net. Boschman out of the corner. Fires off Bishop. Comes to the boards. Getzlaf with it. Down the boards. It's Boschman. Out to the point. Smith-Pelly loads up. Blocked by Stamkos. Loses his stick. Getzlaf has the puck. 24 seconds to go. Spins it back as Stamkos without a stick defending. Vatanen. Around they move it. Kessler's try deflected by Stralman to the boards. 15 seconds left. Getzlaf out of the corner centering. Stolen by Hedman. Stamkos has his stick. He's able to clear it out. And Vatanen, who's spent, has to get back to the dot before they blow the whistle to the icing. That leaves him only 6.1 seconds.
The clock stopped before he got back there, before the whistle went off. Vatanen was back about between the blue line and the top of the circles. They stopped the clock before the whistle. That shouldn't happen in your home ice.
Well, the crowd rising here for the final moments of regulation with the Lightning in front by a couple at 5.9 on the clock. As they readjusted, I believe, off that situation. The official time kept down there, not on the clock by the off-ice officials, and that'll do it. The Lightning are back in the win column on home ice. They won 11 of their last 12 here at Amalie Arena. And they pick up a couple of points to go to 73. A couple of goals from Brian Boyle in this one. An early goal that really set the tone. 5-3 the final. We've got